Corruption in Nigeria undermines democratic institutions, retards economic development, and contributes to government instability. That is according to the chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission. He speaks on the fight against corruption on this week's edition of the program. Hello there. Thank you for joining us on the program this week. I'm Gloria Umezuke. Corruption is pervasive in Nigeria and manifests in various forms. It is rampant both in the public and private, formal and informal sectors of the economy. In our interview this week, we'll look at the ICPC anti-corruption crusade. But coming up ahead, the chairman of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission has been given account of his stewardship in 2016. But during the period under review, the commission made several cash recoveries. We'll take a listen. These vehicles, 40 of them, were recovered from civil servants from the Ministry of Water Resources by operatives of the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission. They are the results of steps taken to block loopholes that provide a platform for corruption to thrive in the country.
It's not so much that the official vehicles of the Federal Ministry of Water Resources were dishonestly made away with by retiring public servants. However, what is most significant is the need to ask some questions and consistently interrogate 40 government how 40 government vehicles were taken away. Ladies and gentlemen, it is important to say that in the fight against corruption, it is not so much those who dishonestly enrich themselves through government vehicles, but the opportunities for corruption that made this corrupt act possible.
But these are not the only items recovered from government officials.
Thank you very much. Please be seated.
At a media briefing, the chairman of the commission listed some of the recoveries made by the commission in 2016.
Acts in organizations.
According to the chairman, the commission recovered 124 vehicles, 8.7 billion naira, filed 70 cases, secured 11 convictions, and received 1,569 petitions.
We not only identify corruption-prone processes, practices, and procedures in government agencies, but work with them to institutionalize corruption-free processes and enforce compliance. There are ongoing collaborations to strengthen the ethical tone of ministries, departments, and agencies through anti-corruption and transparency units, which we call ACTUS. In our anti-corruption work, we acknowledge the media as a potent force in shaping opinion and behavior. Since positive values constitute the fundamentals of a corruption-free society, we ask that you leverage your influence to reorient society towards these values by paying due attention to corruption prevention efforts, even as publicity is given to enforcement issues.
As part of measures to prevent corruption, the Commission is carrying out system study and review in the civil service across the 3 tiers of government. In our interview, the chairman of the ICPC, Mr. Ekpo Nta, speaks on the recoveries made, investigations, and how the Commission is taking proactive steps to curb corrupt practices. Mr. Ekpo Nta, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you.
As a commission now, you have adopted the preventive approach to fighting corruption. How much impact has this made?
It takes quite a while to appreciate the impact, but I must say that I'm very satisfied with the outcome of our preventive activities, and using the indicators we have, I'm also delighted to say that our international partners, not donors this time, but partners, have agreed that this is the right thing to do.
What do you mean?
Prevention presupposes that you have put everybody on notice that to do XYZ is wrong. Rather than waiting for him to do it, then you ambush him. It makes it cheaper and commonsensical to bring him up to speed and tell him, look, the following things are taboo for the following reasons. And to aid him, you produce visual reminders. If you are on a street where you don't want people to drive more than 60 kilometers per hour, you should put a sign that is very visible with 60 miles or kilometers per hour conspicuously written. And where you want him to start driving at 100, you put that, and you don't leave it at that. You install cameras so that there's no ambiguity when he's arrested. Not just cameras, but speed markers, so that when you bring the speed marker to show him that you did in excess of 60, there will be absolutely no argument.
But this is targeted at local governments, and who else?
You mean the particular one we're talking about? No, we actually started at the federal level. Okay. And I'm very sure you're very conversant with the anti-corruption and transparency units. In short, we call them ACTUS. They've been in operation at the federal level. And as a matter of fact, the success that we've had has been such that the DFID actually took it up as their own baby and did a lot of investments in that respect. So we are getting and analyzing requests from states that they would like to have such an early warning system in the various ministries at the states. So I think that one was a very beautiful example of prevention activity, because what does ACTU do? It sensitizes your parent ministry as to what is acceptable and what is not. And if you do go ahead against their advice, they are mini ICPC, they blow the whistle immediately.
So how do you gauge the difference or the impact, or however you choose to put it, between the pre-preventive approach era and the post? So you know what you're doing. We
had put in place a strategic action plan that was to run from 2013 to 2017 and had broken all this into indicators for measurements. If you are not able to measure your indicators, then you probably would not be able to measure the success rate that you have tried putting in place. And we have also allowed people to come and do research as to the expected outcomes. And we are satisfied with the outcome that we're beginning to see, definitely.
So when you say research, what are you talking about?
In the past, you knew as a civil servant that for you to get money from the banks, you had to go queue physically at the banks, right? And that could take the whole day. But today, you cannot use that as an excuse, because you can do your transactions online from your phone in your office. At the seaports, we carried out the research, what we call the corruption risk assessment of the seaports in Nigeria, which was brought to our attention because we just didn't get into that research for no lead. We had a request by the International Maritime Association, various countries that do business at our ports, and they all complained about the corruption at the ports, time that they had to go through, laborious processes. So we got involved. And we have been able to produce a standard operational manual for the ports, which is online. So a customer can just go straight to that one portal